Hey, Kerfuffle fans, welcome back to the latest episode. And today I have an extraordinary guest by the name of John Jacobsen. Now, a lot of you know, if you follow the show for any amount of time, that I've worked in the insurance industry for a number of years. Well, John is a fellow insurance industry worker. He works with kind of like what I do, but he does a little bit more than what I do. And we're going to get into his story and some of the things he sees going on in the insurance industry in general in Florida, but across the nation as well. He's looked at as one of the shining lights in the industry, and he does a lot of public speaking. He does a lot of events where people reach out to him and ask him his professional opinion. And to be honest with you, I've heard nothing but great things about John. So without further ado, welcome to the show, John.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Sean.
Yep. So, John, let's discuss a little bit. Let's let everybody know who you are and where you're from and what you do.
Okay. Let's see. With a broad question like that, I could go all the way back to 1962 when I was born, but we won't go quite that far. My name is John Jacobsen. Growing up, I had to deal with the childhood nursery rhyme, which is also apparently an old German folk song, because I heard it in a restaurant. Everyone has heard John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. That's my name too. Strangely, I heard that more in adulthood than I did in childhood, than I do in childhood, than I ever did in childhood. So now if people sing that to me now, I just kind of leer at them and walk away. But anyway, I've been by background, I have a law degree. I'm trained as an attorney, not really wanting to go that particular route of having to worry about trying cases and with all that stress. When I was in law school, I decided I was going to do my clerkship at an insurance defense firm, where I learned kind of the beginning of the wonderful world of claims. And then I eventually got into that. A couple of insurance companies hired me to be someone who had a legal background, of legal claim representative, they called it in those days. And I did everything from auto bodily injury liability, trying to determine if someone really had a soft tissue injury from when they were rear-ended, all the way up to medical malpractice defense, which I really enjoyed doing that for a few years. But it's quite a treat, by the way, to have a lunch with medical malpractice lawyers, because you go to nice restaurants, but you talk about really disgusting things. And you have to keep that perspective. But anyway, did that, and then I got tired of claims in the early 2000s, decided to get out for a while. I did real estate sales. Well, you all know what happened in 2007 and 8. I found my way back into claims, but this time into property, and climbed my first roof at age 46. And then I was working for an insurance company for about a year when I heard of this thing called public adjusting. Had never heard of that before. And it was interesting that here I was supposedly trained by one of the top companies in the country as to how to settle claims, yet they never told me about this thing in their policy called an appraisal clause. And they never told me what a public adjuster was. Of course, I was in Minnesota back then, which is where I spent almost all of my adult life. And public adjusting wasn't really heard of there. But then I thought to myself, I could bring together my attorney skills as well as my claim skills together into one place, synthesize these, and public adjusting seemed like the thing to do. I took the test, passed, and hung my shingle out, quit the insurance company, and found my way into that. It was mostly in Minnesota. It was all hail claims I was doing because they get a lot of hail up there. And Then when Hurricane Irma hit Florida, I had always wanted to do cat duty. I had been offered cat duty with Superstorm Sandy, but the time wasn't really right. That we had just moved about a week later. I was offered the cat duty. The time just wasn't right. So anyway, got the opportunity to do cat duty in Florida after Hurricane Irma. I was down here about 3 weeks after it happened, stayed for about almost 2 months, and was helping people who were hit by Hurricane Irma up in Jacksonville. I thought, well, this is okay. I really like that Florida does not have a state tax. So
Yeah.
then I was offered more when I was going to do daily claims, but then that didn't work out. And then I was interrupted for a few months to help in New York City. I helped an independent adjusting firm there do freeze losses, because there was a big freeze at the beginning of January 2018 up there. And little did I realize that driving in the greater New York City area was preparation for what was going to happen later that year when I would move down to Florida. Because believe it or not, the traffic in New York City doesn't really have anything on the traffic in Miami, especially during season. So anyway, I was then offered work to appraise on behalf of insurance companies. So I got back into the carrier perspective that I've been doing in the 90s. And I left public adjusting for a time. But then I discovered I could, and I started appraising in Florida for mostly Citizens, and then it expanded into QBE, Olympus, Peninsula Insurance Bureau, and then eventually Frontline and State Farm. So I total appraised for, I think, 8 companies over that time, and continued doing that. And then law firms began to hear about me and wanted me to appraise on behalf of their clients, on behalf of policyholders. And then the top firm in the state came knocking on my door, asking if I would work for them. And I'm talking about Keys Claims specifically. And I gave it a go with them for just under 2 years. But then I got into full-time public adjusting, discovered I really like doing this more on my own instead of under a firm. So I'm back out on my own. I founded Final Analysis, my company, back in 2019, when I started doing appraisal work for both carriers as well as policyholders. But then now I'm strictly doing public adjusting and appraisal on behalf of policyholders, especially all that after all that I've learned about insurance companies and the way they do things. So anyway, I was probably a little longer than you wanted, Sean, but that's the overall summary.
So for the people that are listening out there that might not know what a public adjuster is, they are the best kept secret in the insurance industry. That a lot of people don't even know what a public adjuster is. But can you kind of enlighten the listening crowd on what exactly you do as a public insurance adjuster, and what's the difference between you and a company insurance adjuster that maybe works for State Farm or Citizens or Allstate or somebody like that?
And that's an excellent question. What a public adjuster does, and this is kind of the motto of my company, if you will. Your insurance company has an adjuster, so should you, is what I say. When the insurance company will have somebody who will be adjusting the claim, deciding how much they're going to pay on your claim, but doesn't it make sense that you should have someone as well doing that? So what a public adjuster does is they adjust the claim on your behalf. They represent you before the insurance company. The insurance company doesn't they've got an insuring agreement that they have to hold to. The insuring agreement says what they're promising to do and what they're supposed to do when you have a claim. They don't always live up to that. And a lot of policyholders don't realize this, or they start doing the work on their home and they realize that, hey, I don't have anywhere near the money I need, and the door's already been closed because I've signed a release. I step in when the insurance company comes to you, and best way to illustrate it is with an example, Sean. Say you've had a hurricane come through, and there were a few cracked tiles on your tile roof. Let's say there were 5 cracked tiles on a pretty good size roof. Let's say a 25 square or a 2,500 square foot roof. The insurance company offers to pay for the cracked tiles. They throw a coat of paint on the ceiling where you've got some stains, and they offer you $2,000. You get a contractor in there that says, hey, your roof is toast. You've still got water coming in. You're going to need to replace the roof. And they say the value is $100,000. Then what you do is you get somebody to help you, because you tried calling the insurance company and they're not returning your calls, which is a pretty typical story. Or they might say, okay, we'll do another inspection. They come out and they offer you another $2,000, but they still refuse to replace the roof. They still refuse to paint all of the rooms that continue from the room that was damaged. So I step in when you call on me to help represent you to the insurance company. I will either negotiate with them to get a better settlement for you, or I will go into appraisal. We'll look at what your policy says, because everything centers around the policy. We will look at what your policy says, and if it says you can initiate the appraisal clause, which enables you to challenge the $2,000 they're paying you and turn it into more, then you hire me as your appraiser. You name me in a letter that you send to them. The insurance company, in a perfect world, will assign someone as their appraiser. It's got to be someone who does not work for them. 2 of us come together. Most cases, I'm able to settle it directly with them, and then it's a happy ending. And I've yet to meet a roof, by the way, that I haven't been able to replace in that process, because like in the case of a tile roof, most tile roofs are obsolete after they've been on a roof for about maybe 2 to 3 years. So then it's time, because the tiles that you try to replace the broken tiles with will no longer properly interlock, and then you will not be put back in your pre-loss position after you have had a loss. So anyway, long story short, I hate saying that, because usually when people say that, it's still a long story. I step in and I get you what the insurance company is not giving you. I step in on your behalf and I adjust the claim upward. So your insurance company has an adjuster, so should you.
So over the years that you've been doing it, and you and I have been talking, we were talking a little bit before the show, over the years that we've been doing it, and you've been involved as well, is the laws have really changed in Florida. It used to be a very consumer-friendly state up until, about 2022, 2023 timeframe. What are some of the big changes that you've seen in the state of Florida over the past few years that, kind of hurt the property owner, or hurt the insured, I should say, because it's not always property. So you could do boats, you could do cars, you could do RVs and airplanes and everything else. But what are some of the things that you've seen that have happened that have actually kind of turned the twist of fate for the property owners?
the deadlines are shorter now. As of the legislation that came into effect in early 23, there's less time to report a claim, and there's shorter statutes of limitations, so they have to report things in a hurry. I don't think that's necessarily a terrible thing, because I've come into many people and I had to investigate a lot of these claims, particularly down in Southeast Florida, where they waited 2 to 3 years to report it. They thought, oh, I can just do some self-help and I can slap a couple shingles on my roof and everything will be fine. But they end up hurting themselves more than anything. But anyway, that has been somewhat detrimental to the insureds pursuing their claim. Their timelines have become somewhat shorter. The cost of insurance is going up. This has been driven by many things. Floridians now in the last 5 years have seen a 72% increase in their insurance premiums, according to the Florida Office of Insurance Regulation. And homeowners are struggling, and there's little relief in sight. One of the ways they've been offered relief was through another one of those legislative changes in 2023, in which their attorneys no longer automatically get their fees paid. I saw this on many claims that I worked prior to Hurricane Ian, which is what brought about all these changes. And what I can say is that I came into many cases where the insured was getting about $10,000 for the work for their home, but then the lawyer's fees were about $150,000. Insurance companies had to pay those. And if I saw 1, 2, or 3 of them, there must have been thousands and thousands of them out there. And it was bankrupting insurance companies. Bleeding had to stop. But then it actually has worked to the disadvantage of policyholders, because now they have to arrange with their attorneys to get the attorney's fees paid. And there's a lot more happening now where they have to get attorneys, which I'll get to in a minute. But now attorneys are going to be paid if they have to hire them on a contingency basis, and that will end up taking at least a third. Sometimes I've seen as much as half of their settlement. And it doesn't leave them with very much to be able to properly repair their home. So that's another problem that insureds are now facing. And we've also got the problem of, again, their rates are increasing, and even with these changes, even with insurance companies not paying out as much, well, it's been a good news for the carriers. 2024, the leading carriers all had their best year ever in Florida, but they just keep telling the insureds, the people who are paying their premiums into them, hey, we're making better money. We don't have to increase your premium as much. So on the commercial side, it's been good. They've had a 0% increase, but from 24 to 25, homeowners premiums have only gone up 0.8%. We're supposed to celebrate this, but the fact is they're still going up. We haven't seen them come down. So policyholders are still faced with the very high premiums, but now they have to foot their legal bills. And they've also, I guess one last thing, and I'm sorry if I'm getting long-winded here, but
oh no, this is very important information. I mean,
oh, good, okay, well,
a lot of people
I'll
in
be
Florida
really
don't know
long-winded.
this. I mean, my next question was going to be to you about bad faith and about things going on with bad faith as well being removed.
Yes, bad faith. It's not really been removed. Florida hasn't had first-party bad faith really for that long, and there weren't very many test cases for it up until the last few years. About half of Florida's insureds, it may be a little less than that now since they've dumped a lot of their policies onto smaller companies or with Citizens. Citizens is a state-run company, and you cannot sue Citizens for bad faith.
Right.
What that means, and this is another effect on policyholders, Sean, what that means is that if you are screwed over by Citizens, you have no way of extra contractually, or that is outside of the insurance contract, pursuing them. It's a much harder battle to fight. In fact, you can't really fight it at all. And then about a year ago now, Citizens came up with the Department of Administrative Hearings Arbitration Forum, also known as DOAH. I just like to call it DUH. But they've had DOAH, and I was involved in a couple of these DOAH hearings on behalf of my clients, and every single one of them was a loss because Citizens selected all of the judges that were going to serve on its behalf. And all of these judges were bought and paid for. An appraisal, you've got the appraisers going to your house and looking at the roof, looking at the inside. With a DOAH hearing, you're in a Zoom call with a judge who has probably never climbed a roof or had any direct hands-on experience. And you end up really, I'll just say it, screwed over. When you don't have the experience of these professionals coming together. Well, then a judge rendered an opinion on the unconstitutionality of DOAH about 3 months ago. Actually, Sean, your brother passed that on to me the day that that ruling was handed down. And there was a celebration in the streets, but then I just read yesterday that Citizens is appealing that. No surprise. They want to try to get their hearings back. The alternative to that is appraisal, which is still the best and least costly forum. But that's been another effect. Getting back to the previous question, is that appraisal is becoming less and less accessible to policyholders. This is truly the best way because it's binding on the insurance company. It's relatively low cost. You're paying an appraiser maybe on average about $2,500 if it's a smaller homeowners case, versus the tens and thousands of dollars you'd be paying in legal expenses. And when you don't have that anymore and you're forced to pay legal expenses, and this time you're paying them more out of your own pocket or from your settlement, it's not a good formula for the policyholders. Florida has lost a lot of its friendliness as a state for the insureds. And sadly, we're beginning to see that trend throughout the country, kind of like a dominoes falling down. Because I'm dealing with this in some of the other states I'm licensed in right now, too.
So what other states are you licensed in and that you work in?
Not as many as you, Sean. But I'll just say Georgia, I've got a couple of cases going on. North and South Carolina, Texas, Louisiana, Colorado, of course, Florida, if I haven't mentioned that. And then more recently, I became licensed in Michigan. And then just a couple weeks ago, acquired a West Virginia license for a handful of cases I may be appraising up there. So, yeah, I think that's a total of about 9 states right now. Pales in comparison to your 21, but I'll get there.
Yeah, it was interesting. The reason I got licensed in so many states is, my father had a very successful construction business at one time, and back in the 90s and early 2000s, before my uncle passed away and my father retired. And we knew people all around the country. And it was, people would call me from Idaho. Hey, can you help me out with this? Or New Jersey or Arizona or something. So I just said, well, I'll get a license, because I'm a firm believer is I don't want to do any unlicensed practice. I'll give people tips over the phone if I don't want to represent them, but that's how I got so many. And it was just like, okay, I'll keep on holding on to them. And my creme de la creme was my California license, because they're very hard to get. It takes about
Yes.
18 months, and I have one. And yeah, they're very difficult to get.
Yeah, I'm not going to bother with California. And I know all of the wildfire claims, many have been denied because insurance companies suddenly decided that soot was no longer fire damage. So, I know there's some battles going on out there over that. But although it was alluring to maybe be able to go out there and work, I looked at the license requirements, Sean, and I said, no, I can't.
Yeah, the California Fair Plan is a lot like Citizens in Florida, except it's a little bit more. If I had to choose the lesser of two evils, and I use that term loosely, I would say I would much rather work against Citizens than Fair Plan.
Citizens has actually been pretty cooperative with me when the claims go to appraisal. In fact, when I was appraising for them, because I spent about 4 years doing that, Sean, I would often get a call from the desk adjuster saying, rather than go to an umpire, John, why don't you just agree to pay the extra $5,000? And I would say, well, we don't owe it. And they didn't, interestingly enough, there were many times they didn't want to put up a fight, and they seemed to defer to their policyholders. So yeah, on many occasions, they could be very nice people to work with. And I could get claims settled pretty easily. I still can. It doesn't seem to be quite as frequently, but then they'll pick out 1 or 2 out of the 20 that you're working on with them that they have to be a real pain about.
Yeah. Well, I've also heard lately that Citizens has actually stopped putting public adjusters on checks. How we sign a letter of representation, we're supposed to be named on. It's the only way we can protect our fees a lot of times, because and homeowners were there to help. But sometimes homeowners, first they're needy, then they're greedy. They don't want to pay when it's time, because they don't see the physical attribute, the hours of time you spent behind estimating software and negotiating. And sometimes they don't think that it's worth the money. And it's now that Citizens, and I believe there's a couple others, I don't know who else, but I've heard rumors that there's a couple others that are now leaving public adjusters off of checks. And it makes it that much harder for us to get paid.
That's true. Citizens about 4 months ago began to eliminate public adjusters from the checks. And I know there was a huge hue and cry on LinkedIn about this. I, for one, never had a problem with my clients getting paid on Citizens claims. They were just so glad that I got them the money, especially since I would get hired on, a more difficult case, if you will. But Citizens started that trend. I know Universal has somewhat followed suit. And then I was reading just this morning in Texas, they're going to no longer allow public adjusters' names to be on checks at all. There's a big movement to stop that completely because of one case. There's always one bad apple. There's always one. We learn a lot that we need in life from kindergarten class. When one little kid, little Johnny, it's always got to be named John. But and by the way, Sean is the Irish form of John.
Yep.
All right. Good. Well, anyway, one kid gets the whole class in trouble. And that has happened with public adjusters out there, although good things are happening out there that I hope we will follow suit with in Florida. I know in Texas, starting last month in September, arbitration is now appraisal is now mandatory in all policies, all homeowners policies in Texas. I'm sure they're going to find new ways to play with it, but they see this as the cost-saving measure that it is. Sadly, in Florida, they see it as them having to pay what they owe, and they're coming up with things that can attempt to limit that as much as possible.
Yeah. So if you were to talk to a new guy or girl, man or woman, getting into public adjusting, what is, somebody that's been around the block for a while, seen a lot of things, what's some advice that you would give them?
I didn't get into public adjusting until my late 40s. I'm 63 now, but I didn't get into it until then. And I discovered it worked so well for me because I already had, although I once had predominantly brown hair, I started getting gray at the temples. And my point being that as a public adjuster, people want you to have that background, that experience, or for that matter, as an appraiser. They tend to trust you more if you have some of that both figurative and literal gray in your hair. And if you have that experience, and anyone coming into the business brand new, this is what I would urge them to do. And that is get some experience, as distasteful as it may be to you. Get some experience as a company adjuster for a while, or maybe even doing appraisal work for a company, although they usually require you to have at least 2 to 3 years adjusting experience. Get some carrier experience so you can see it from their perspective, and then go out and start representing policyholders because you'll understand a lot more. It's a bit difficult to come in and just start public adjusting. If you have that background, I think it helps immensely. And also, don't believe you're going to build your business overnight. Even when you join a firm, you've got to bring the business to them, and you've got to develop a network of contacts. And I do that through media such as this. I go out and speak a lot because I'm talking on a very timely topic. People are very interested because what's happening with insurance premiums, it affects anyone who owns a home or a business. So they want to know more. And thankfully, I've been able to plug into a lot of opportunities, both at that level as well as in the media, and trying to expand on that. And also, I joined the American Policyholder Association in representing policyholders who have been pretty jilted by their carriers, because carrier fraud is a very real thing. Just as fraud is a very real thing with the policyholders, and we've heard plenty about that. There's fraud on both sides. Just because they have the money doesn't mean they're not guilty.
Yeah, the APA is a good organization. I'm also a member of the APA, and the people that work with the APA are phenomenal people. They're doing a lot of justice to just regular everyday Americans and for them, to help them out. And they also volunteer a lot of their time and answer questions, and that whole organization they're good.
Mm-hmm. Yes, agree.
So where can we see you speaking next? Do you have anything lined up if somebody wants to come out and check out and listen to what you have to say? Is any events coming up soon that you're going to be going to?
I speak mostly to Rotary clubs because I'm a member of Rotary myself. I believe that all of us have an obligation to our world and our community at large, and Rotary has been a great expression of that for me. So I speak mostly to them. I'm working with the APA to get some things scheduled with them, because I would love to speak alongside some of their people, such as Doug Quinn. So Yeah, I speak mostly to private organizations like that, and waiting to hear on a couple of radio interviews that I have coming up, and I can certainly put those before you folks.
Yeah. So if somebody wants to find you online, where's some good places to check you out if they want to reach out to you either for public adjusting services or speaking engagement or just to get some general information?
Go to my website, johnajacobsen.net, and you will find the website for final analysis, which will tell of what I've got coming up, and tells all about me and my experience, and what a public adjuster is, kind of the whole summary of what I do, list the states that I'm licensed in, and so that's a good beginning. I don't get on Instagram or Facebook every day or LinkedIn. I'll post about every 2 to 3 days on all of those. But the website is always a good beginning because it's all about what I do and what I can bring to the table on your behalf. And, more broadly speaking, what a public adjuster can do for you and the difference that we make. It's documented.
So where do you see the future of insurance going over the next couple of years?
I'm very concerned about AI, especially on the carrier side, because there's more and more policyholders that I've been contacted by a few of those, Sean, who have had their claims summarily denied, sometimes without even the benefit of an inspection, because AI will be reviewing and interpreting the policy, things like that. I see AI as a major threat. I don't see it replacing public adjusting, because although I'm offered every day a lot of different AI-based programs to compare one estimate to another, that's probably the biggest AI influence I'm seeing right now. But I'm real concerned about what AI is going to do. It's going to make the insurance companies, I think, that much more unfair and more difficult to get through to a real human being, because as their costs go up, in reality, I think insurance companies only pay, according to the book Delay, Deny, Defend by Jay Feinman, 30% of their premium dollars go to actually paying claims. It's probably much higher here in Florida just because we have the largest volume of claims nationally. We have 70% of all the claims in the United States in Florida. I mean, we are the third largest state, but I think that's going to decrease as with attorneys' fees no longer having been available since 2023. But no, AI, I think, getting back to your original question, is the main concern that I would have right now.
Okay. So the last question I always ask everybody on this show, if you had to turn the wheel back in time and face a young John Jacobsen someplace and tell him about your future or give him some information or some feedback, what would you tell a young John?
Not long ago, a friend of mine asked me if I could go back to my 40-year-old self, and what would I say? The instant response was, get out of real estate. I did it for about 6 years, but it put my family through relative hell, especially the first couple years getting established. But realistically, what I would do, I would go back to my younger self. I'd like to go back to my, maybe my mid-30s self and say, this public adjusting thing would be a really good thing for you to get into. I'd have wanted to have found out about it much sooner. insurance companies weren't going to tell you about it. And because I was really mostly a desk adjuster when I was working for carriers, and this was throughout the 1990s. So, yeah, I would urge myself to my younger self to get into it sooner. But on the other hand, Sean, this has worked greatly to my advantage because I've now had an equal amount of experience on both sides. And that makes it more appealing for people to hire me as a public adjuster because they know that I have been on the inside of carriers. I know how they think, how they work. And, I've worked for them. I've been the one, even when I haven't wanted to not pay as much or to even deny their claims. So it's given me a good balanced perspective, but like I said, I wish I would have found out about this sooner, but it's also worked to my benefit that I didn't.
Well, John, we really want to thank you for being on today's show. You've definitely, enlightened me to some things, and you definitely probably have enlightened a bunch of our listeners. Again, if you guys are in need of a public adjuster, you're in South Florida, well, anywhere in Florida or Texas, Georgia, the Carolinas, anywhere John's working, West Virginia, reach out to John. You guys will get his website at the bottom of the page. We'll include the link at the end of the video, but also in the description. Reach out to John if you have questions, or you just want him to go speak at your event, or you want somebody to maybe help you out with an insurance claim, or just have a couple questions. Reach out to John. He's a knowledgeable guy. He's been around the block. He knows a thing or two. And John, we'd really like to thank you for being on the show today.
Sure, it's been fun.
So if you guys like what you saw, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and click that notification bell. We're on YouTube, we're on Rumble, we're on Instagram, TikTok, and Spotify, as well as Amazon and Apple iTunes. We're everywhere, guys. Pretty much anywhere social media is, you can follow the Kerfuffle. So until next time, have fun storming the castle.